Research says it takes 21 days to form a habit, so we tested this EEG-powered meditation headband called Muse 2 for 21 days straight. I personally meditated daily for 10 minutes or longer, and usually in the afternoon or at times in the morning before going to work. I also tested Muse on the go while traveling using the tracking-only feature without the soundscape biofeedback, and just to get some data, I brought Muse with me even to the Dispenza meditation retreat, and I used it in the tracking only mode again. A little bit about me: I have a fair share of meditation under my belt. I'm a former Kundalini yoga teacher. I practice currently the Dispenza's meditations, and I've studied how sound affects the mind. What sparked my interest in Muse was the ability to see the real-time EEG neurofeedback and to be able to see what's going on in my brain when I'm meditating, and the results were actually really surprising. Now let's see how the Muse works. For this review, we chose the model called Muse 2. It's not the newest version, but it has good reviews overall, and it's also the most affordable version in their product portfolio. So we intentionally chose this model over the newest version because we wanted something that's more financially accessible to more people without sacrificing core features that we're here for. The Muse 2 measures first your brain activity using EEG sensors, then heart rate through a sensor behind the ear, and your breath through subtle chest movement. And as a bonus, your body movement with an internal accelerometer. Together, these metrics should give you a full picture of your mind-body connection, and not just how still you are, but how deeply you're dropping into presence. The setup was overall pretty easy. You can pick your preferred type of meditation and soundscape, although when it comes to proper placement, it was a little tricky at first, and in the beginning I often got an alert to try adjusting the headband again. You can also extend the bands to fit your head size better, and it's important that you make sure that you get your hair out of the way as much as possible. If there's still any connectivity issues, you will find out once you try to pair your Muse device with the Muse app via Bluetooth. Once connected well, for starting the session, Muse runs a short calibration, and that's how the device learns your personal baseline.
Settle in and close your eyes as we start the calibration process.
And then once the session starts, Muse uses real-time sound feedback to reflect your mental state. When your mind is calm, you'll hear gentle sounds of birds chirping, and that's a clear sign that you've reached a state of stillness. When your mind starts to wander or become more active, the sound environment changes and will become louder or overall more chaotic, signaling to pay attention to your thoughts and bring your mind back to the present moment, to your breath and stillness, and depending on the soundscape you've chosen. It could be rain, ocean, fire, ambient music. Personally, that's my favorite, and I'll get to that later. It is a really well-designed experience. You don't need to watch anything or analyze any data when you're sitting in meditation. Your only job when you're meditating is to listen and stay present, letting the sound guide you to a calm, centered place. Now, after using Muse consistently for 21 days, one of the biggest things I noticed is that it really felt like having a meditation coach in real time, or even better, superhuman insight into my patterns of thought. I wasn't left wondering if I was doing it right. The sound feedback made it really obvious what my state of mind was. When the birds were chirping, I knew my mind reached a calm, focused state of mind, which basically motivated me to keep doing what I'm doing, that I'm on the right track. And when the sound shifted to being louder, I immediately made the connection that my mind is wandering off even before I consciously realized it, which I find to be very valuable feedback. First, I want to say it's key for everyone starting out with Muse to make sure you select the right type of soundscape to begin with. I can see how it could be really discouraging for the sounds to be getting louder over and over again in your first few meditations, and harder to reach the bird sounds as you're increasingly getting frustrated with the loud noise and quote-unquote the negative feedback, which is becoming a distraction from the sound itself. I am personally very sensitive to sounds, and so what really didn't work for me were the sounds like the rainforest, the rain, the ocean, and the actual seagulls as well, which I found really interesting. it made my mind less focused and more distracted as I was progressing. The mind meditations really started working for me when I found the right sound for me, which was ambient music, the sound that was gentle enough to not to distract my mind or interrupt my flow when I started being focused, and it felt more immersive. So that's my 2 cents when it comes to selecting the right sound with Muse. Pay attention to what works for you and don't give up too early. By the way, after a few days meditating with Muse, I quickly realized wearing an eye mask would make a huge difference, and the data showed I was able to get into a deeper meditation without the distraction of the daylight. Another pretty big benefit was I was able to really understand, thanks to the real-time neurofeedback, that usually the sound went loud and more chaotic when I started thinking about something that happened in the past, or my mind wandered into the future, thinking about where I'm going to go later or what I forgot to do. Also, letting my mind wander, imagination sparked louder sound feedback. Once I made this connection thanks to Muse, I tested it with the sound feedback that the remedy is always bringing the mind back from the past or the future or some imaginary place in my fantasy back to the present moment, here and now, my breath and nothingness, or the void, as Joe Dispenza describes. During the 21 days, this was pivotal for me to understand the data and testing it out and actually being able to reach the higher states of calm mind as I progressed throughout the 21 days. And I learned on the data that I get a higher brain recharge scores as well as calm mind score when I regulate my thoughts. After just a few sessions, I noticed I was becoming more aware, not just during meditation, but actually throughout my day. I could sense when I was slipping into distraction, even outside of the app, the neurofeedback in everyday reality, being aware of my mind more and more. Also, one of the most important insights for me was recognizing the reality perception shift when I was meditating well. The more and longer I practiced, the more I started to feel the shift in my actual environment. I opened my eyes and I was in the same room, the same external conditions, but the difference was my mind was calm. Everything felt softer, clearer, more expansive. My thinking felt more coherent, and I was able to see things from a higher perspective. This, of course, is generally the benefit of meditation. But I think with Muse, I was able to meditate better and reach calm mind faster because, like anything in life, if you receive feedback, you can improve faster. So for me personally, I love this experience. With time, I was able to improve my level of calm mind, get more birds going, and also my levels of brain recharge went up. And I also noticed when I was stressed or had caffeine, my levels of calm were lower. And to reach a higher level of calm mind, I need longer time meditating. The gamification where you get awards and Muse shows you reached new levels of calm, etc. is really motivating. And also, let's talk about some downsides of the Muse 2 headband. I noticed the headband feels okay for shorter periods of times and shorter meditations, but it can press over time behind the ears and also scratch and press on the forehead, sometimes leaving a mark. So that's something to keep in mind. If you meditate for longer sessions, it can be a little uncomfortable. I also wish the Muse headband came with nice carrying case, as I'm often on the go and I would appreciate not having to carry it in the actual original box with me in my bag each time. When it comes to seeing the actual brainwaves, I think it's not really that necessary. It can help if you're more advanced to see whether, let's say, for example, you were able to go deeper into theta brainwaves and achieve a more restful, hypnotic state of mind. But I personally was checking more on the calm mind metrics and brain recharge metrics. Another thing is, if you want deeper insights and data, you need to purchase Muse Premium, which is an extra on top of purchasing the device. But again, if you're committed to learning about your brain and progressing with meditation faster, it's still less than you would pay for a meditation coach or paying for meditation retreats or long-term meditation classes. The Muse 2 retails for $249.99, and if you decide to go for it and try Muse for yourself, Muse offered our community 15% off on all Muse EEG powered headband. You can use the code RESONANCE at checkout or just click the link below and the discount will be automatically applied at checkout. Mind you, this is affiliate link and we earn a small commission, and this will help us keep making these in-depth wellness and health reviews for you guys. So thank you if you purchased through our link. Lastly, I wanted to talk about how it felt using the Muse while traveling or with a different audio. So during the 21 days, I needed to use Muse on the go while traveling with my own audio or without audio. So I appreciated Muse offers the option to use tracking only mode, which I thought was great. I also used it on Joe Dispenza meditation retreat in Switzerland to see what's happening in my brain during his meditations, so this option was great. Interesting insight, what I found out with Joe Dispenza's meditations was that my mind tends to be active measured by Muse during different parts of the meditations, and I think that's mainly because Joe Dispenza invites us to use our imagination, and that tracks in the data as active mind, which actually makes sense. I tried using Joe Dispenza's guided meditations also at home, but I will actually stick to going without Muse and use Muse mainly for improving my mind when it comes to focus and reaching new levels of calm mind and brain recharge and tracking my progress, how my brain is actually doing over time. I will report after 90 days of using Muse again, and thank you so much for watching. If this review was helpful for you, please don't hesitate to comment with your own experience, hit a like or subscribe, and have a great time meditating.